Good afternoon. My name is Bill Michael, Vice President of Managed Cloud Services for SWK Technologies. It is my pleasure today to spend the next 25 minutes with you discussing a very real and somewhat frightening topic on cybersecurity, the threats and how to defend against them. As background, I've been in the technology and risk management fields for over 25 years. Areas of focus and expertise center around risk management by helping firms understand the threats to their business, probability and impact, and how to mitigate those threats. Technology is a means to the end, but understanding your risk profile is the foundation upon which to develop your security program, which includes policies and procedures to address the human factors, and of course, technology solutions. I've led 24/7 IT operations in highly regulated environments, primarily in the financial services sector. My business and technology experience translates from the 1 to 2 person startup through multi-billion-dollar international firms. Let's briefly review today's agenda. Knowing the current trends and attacks will help your firm recognize and hopefully avoid a system or data breach, as well as how to stop them. Hackers, or bad actors, employ different tactics to exploit vulnerabilities within your applications and network. We'll review the differences between opportunistic and targeted attacks. Companies tend to focus on the technologies and solutions, but there are other drivers and areas that are often overlooked that pose a risk to your business. Most of you depend on your ERP system to operate your business, so we will review strategies and best practices for securing your Sage environment. In a connected world, hackers and bad actors are working around the clock attempting to compromise your business. Nothing, short of unplugging from the internet, will mitigate cyber risk 100%. This is why having a defined and robust backup and disaster recovery plan is critical to your firm's ability to recover from a cyber incident and remain in business. Lastly, the past 14 months in dealing with a global pandemic has seen a shift to a larger remote workforce and the lessening of reliance upon traditional office space. Businesses rely upon access to their critical applications and data anytime from anywhere. We'll explore why you may want to consider cloud services as part of your overall business and technology strategy. As I touched upon in the introduction, firms are conducting business or competing against other companies on a global scale. The internet is the infrastructure and highway that makes it all possible, but being connected exposes your business to cyber threats from anywhere in the world. Local groups or proximity to the digital assets are a thing of the past. If you were to ask a colleague what they thought the biggest risk to their business was, what do you think they would say? An unpatched server? Insufficient controls on your local network? An unsecure home network? The biggest risk is actually your employees. Whether intentional or unintentional, the actions of your staff significantly increase the likelihood of a security compromise. Let's talk about the most popular threats you and your teams may come across. Social engineering is where bad actors attempt to engage your employees through human interaction to divulge sensitive information through non-technical means. These actions can be taken via the phone or by simply slipping past your receptionist to gain access to the office space or your employees. But increasingly, these actions are being performed electronically. The two most common attacks are as follows. Phishing is where fraudulent emails are disguised as legitimate correspondence to get the recipient to take a desired action, such as clicking on a link to install malware, or divulging a username and password, or worse yet, initiating a wire transfer. Bad actors have become very sophisticated, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to detect a phishing email. Subtle change of language, or adding an additional letter number to a website or an email address are a few of their tactics that they take. Spear phishing is a highly targeted form of phishing where the bad actor has taken the time to research a firm to further legitimize the attack. This is more dangerous as the attacker has established a level of trust with you, making it more likely that you will follow their direction. With COVID-19, we saw targeted campaigns to the frontline workers. Ransomware is a technique where malware is installed and then encrypts all of your data or systems. Unless you have valid, uninfected backups, your only option is to pay the ransom to gain the key to de-encrypt your systems. A couple things to consider here. First, getting the key doesn't guarantee your data and systems are fully restored. There could have been corruption during the encryption-decryption process. Nor does it guarantee your data wasn't compromised, stolen, or worse yet, changed prior to being encrypted. Secondly, while your systems can be encrypted in a matter of hours, the process to de-encrypt can take days and weeks. Time kills businesses, and your contingency planning must take into account delays in order for your business to weather the storm and remain in business. There are two methods bad actors can use to distribute ransomware. The spray and pray method, where bad actors simply send out emails to tens and thousands of addresses. They're indiscriminate in their audience. They don't care about the size of your business nor the industry. They are only concerned with increasing their chances of someone clicking on a compromised link. The targeted method is where the bad actor gains access to your network via, say, a phishing email, but they take their time and look around your network to determine high target and value systems before installing their malware. This approach decreases the amount of targeted endpoints with the hope of, getting a higher payout. COVID-19 saw a rapid shift toward work from home model. While it enabled businesses to continue operating with employee safety in mind, the unintended consequence was that it exposed businesses to greater cyber risk. Home networks are normally not well secured, which makes them an easy target for hackers. Add in the personal devices, shared in some instances with family members, and the likelihood of an exploit finding its way onto a company-owned system or network increases significantly. Lastly, beware of third-party software such as social media platforms like Facebook or Instagram, or music services such as Spotify. I'm not saying not to use these services, but you should be aware that any platform that brings millions of people together draws the attention of hackers. Let's take a look at a brand new campaign currently being deployed. How many people have you seen someone post a vaccination card onto Facebook? It is great that there's enthusiasm in sharing this milestone in the fight against COVID-19, but what are the unintended consequences? More than 50% of people don't blur out their name or date of birth. Hackers, thank you. Those who do blur out the information don't realize that the lot number and type of vaccine administered provides hackers with two valuable items. First, this information is used to create fake vaccination cards. Second, the information is being used for spear phishing to gain your trust and encourage you to divulge additional information. You may receive an email from the state that is highly personalized using some of the information that you unintentionally disclosed, such as type of shot and the dates that they were given. Then they invite you to create a digital ID for quote-unquote security purposes. Since you believe this email to be legitimate, you comply, and now you've been hacked. Bad actors are relentless and resourceful. In a connected world, any device has the possibility of being compromised. Your best defense is a layered defense. Deploying multiple strategies, solutions, and technologies increases your chances of protecting your critical systems and data and avoiding business interruption or data breach. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, so you can take a measured approach to addressing your security needs based on your risk posture and tolerance. Let's spend a moment to review some of the strategies and tools you can deploy to protect against today's cyber threats. I believe security awareness training is a mandatory mitigation strategy for any company. Remember, your employees are the weakest link, so education, exposure to the techniques used by hackers, and controlled simulation and exercises are invaluable. Minimize the human factor, error, and risks. Multi-factor authentication is a method where a second credential, known or owned only by you, complements the traditional password. With MFA enabled, even if your password is somehow compromised, the hacker would have to be in possession of, say, your cell phone to gain unauthorized access. Encrypting personally identifiable information provides a layer of protection in the event of unauthorized access by requiring a key to make the data intelligible. Encryption is especially useful when deploying on laptops in the event they are lost or stolen. The dark web is where data, passwords, and other sensitive information are posted for resale by the hackers. Knowing if a company or employee data has been posted notifies you of a breach and allows you to take corrective action. Vulnerability assessments allow you to test the control solutions you've put in place from the outside inward. It validates your controls, and if there are any vulnerabilities identified, you get to correct them before something bad happens. Advanced endpoint protection solutions go beyond traditional antivirus to protect against advanced cyber threats such as ransomware. These solutions are typically backed by a security operations center staffed by security professionals. As we said earlier, nothing is foolproof, so business continuity and disaster recovery planning are critical to a company's ability to continue operating before, during, and after a disaster occurs. We'll touch upon this topic further later in the presentation. Lastly, when most people think of security, they focus on the tools and technologies they have in place. Governance, including policies, procedures, risk assessments to identify what is needed to maintain your business, and attesting that these things are in place and effective, serve as the foundation for your information security program from which your strategies are developed. We touched upon this earlier when talking about phishing, but let's take a moment to discuss the differences between opportunistic and targeted threats. A targeted attack typically involves intelligent planning and occurs when an attacker selects and engages a specific target to achieve a specific objective. An opportunistic attack, on the other hand, takes advantage of a vulnerable target that was previously unidentified to the attacker. Targeted attacks are considered the more dangerous threat because attackers are generally willing to expend significant effort to compromise their target with the goal of obviously a larger payday. This is not a common attack that we see for our Sage 100 customers. Opportunistic attacks utilize common techniques and broadcast their attack to many endpoints. The techniques you'll encounter include phishing, internet browsing and accessing a website that have already been compromised, and attempting to install software from an unverified source. Now let's take a look at security through the lens of protecting your Sage ERP platform. As we previously stated, employees are your biggest security risk. What should they not do? Never share a username or password for the company network or the Sage 100 application. If there is a valid need, ensure that the communication is encrypted. Always prohibit internet browsing on computers with full unrestricted access to the Sage 100 application. Always avoid sending email that references the location and file structure of your Sage 100 instance. Never click on an embedded link without checking the URL information in the email first. Never respond to an external email requesting business information without verifying the identity of the sender. Never turn off antivirus. Users should never have local admin rights to their workstation. When evaluating security around the Sage 100 server and application, please make sure that passwords are at least 8 characters in length. Make sure that you require password changes within a 90 to 120 day cycle. Always disable users when they leave the company. We've seen instances where this policy and practice was not followed and it resulted in damages to the company. Lastly, security around your local network should always adhere to the following: regular updates and patching on your servers and workstations, discontinuation of older operating systems that are not supported by Microsoft or Sage, and lastly, good antivirus software. When people discuss business continuity and disaster recovery planning, there is a misnomer that they are one and the same. However, they represent entirely different strategies for a business. Business continuity is a plan that focuses on ensuring that your business will continue to operate during and after a disaster. It focuses on your business processes, threats such as cyber, fire, pandemic, probability and likelihood of the threat, impact such as financial, reputational, regulatory, and the mitigation of the identified risks. Business continuity planning is about your business, processes, and people. It is not about the technology. Disaster recovery is a subset of business continuity planning and is focused on restoring critical systems and applications that are needed for your business to continue to operate. Your ERP system, email, network file shares, and other line of business applications will be covered under a DR plan. DR is about the technology. In the context of cyber threats, it is imperative that businesses have robust and reliable backup and disaster recovery solutions. If you're hit with ransomware, a valid backup allows you to restore business operations in as little as a few hours. Don't have a backup, or the backup was compromised by the malware? Restoration of your business operations is compromised. If you have backups, but not a place to stand up the virtual server in the cloud or another location, you place your business at serious risk. So this question comes up a lot when speaking with customers. Should I go to the cloud? Well, a lot of customers are already in the cloud, at least in part, if they subscribe to Office 365 for email, SharePoint, or OneDrive. Over the past year, COVID-19 and the shift to a remote workforce has brought this question back into the forefront. For those customers who maintain an on-premise network, what keeps you up at night? Security. Do you have the right firewalls, switches, and tools to properly manage and secure your infrastructure? How are you handling physical security? We've spoken about business continuity, DR, and compliance at length. Are you addressing these areas as part of your business practice? Staffing. Technology continues to evolve at a quick pace. Is your IT person equipped, trained to handle the newer technology? Can they properly defend against the ever-increasing security threats? Then there are inflection points which should give you pause to consider how you're currently consuming technology and whether you should take a different approach. Is your infrastructure approaching or at end of life? Do I undertake a large capital expenditure or consider moving all or part of that infrastructure into the cloud? Are you expanding your business or entering into a new line of business? Before you go out and make any investments, revisit your technology strategy. Through our STAT and Virtual CIO program, SWK can serve as your technology advisor to assess your business needs and develop a strategy to meet your business objectives, whether that is a hybrid cloud, part on-prem, part cloud like Office 365, or full cloud, including line of business applications like Sage, file and print services, and directory services. SWK has a robust set of services to migrate and operate your business in the cloud. With secure cloud hosting, we provide application hosting for Sage and QuickBooks on a per-user basis. We can migrate your on-premise infrastructure, including line of business applications, to our infrastructure as a service platform for increased resiliency and accessibility. Cybersecurity is built into all of our offerings. Enjoy endpoint protection backed by a Security Operations Center 24/7. We offer integration with Microsoft Cloud services such as Azure. We can develop and deliver Power Applications to help automate your business processes as well. Lastly, SWK's cloud services are delivered as a full turnkey solution. We deliver not only the networking and computing infrastructure, but we manage the applications, perform security patching, and provide access to our help desk for your end users. I want to thank everyone for attending today's session. My hope is that you walk away with a few items that you can take back to the office to consider and apply for your business. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your Empower conference.